Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining in our Tuesday evening Bhagavad Gita discussion. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay, Hare Krishna. So last time we were discussing Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, text number 13 through 18 we discussed last time, the section of chapter 5 which talks about three doers, or who is the real doer. So we talked about we are not the only doer. There are multiple doers involved, and these doers are Jiva, Jagat and Jagdish. Jiva is the first doer because every action starts with the desire. And then Jagat means this material nature is the second doer in terms of instrumental doer, which facilitate every action. And then the third doer is Jagdish, which is sanctioning doer, sanctioning cause. So we are not the only doer, but still we are responsible for all our action because nothing happens without the desire. So the living entity is still responsible for all the action. And then we talked about the text number 18, which talk about equal vision. The equal vision means considering all the living entities, they have the potential to attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have to work based on the social norms. We still have to behave to the different living entities, different species of life, based on the social norms. But at the same time, we have to remember that all the living entities, they're part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and every living entity has the potential to attain the Supreme Lord. So that is the equal vision, giving equal opportunity for everybody to engage in devotion. So that is the real equal opportunity, because in this world we talk about, people so much talk about equal opportunity. Oh, everybody should have equal opportunity in terms of, and there should not be any racism in terms of gender or religion or any other aspect. But the real equal opportunity means everybody has equal opportunity to engage in the devotion of the Supreme Lord and to attain the Supreme Lord. So continuing from text number 19 onwards, which is the section of equal vision. So text number 19, Lord Krishna continues, what is the qualities of somebody who has the equal vision or who is equipoised? Ihev teirjitah sargo yesham samme sitam manah nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmad brahmani te stitah. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity, They have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless, nirdosham. So they are as good as Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman. So in this verse, the word used is samay and again samam. Both are same meaning, which means equanimity, equipoised. So those whose minds are established in sameness, in equanimity, they have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. And the very interesting word used is here is nirdosham. They are nirdosh, means flawless. Generally, if somebody is found or there is a case on somebody, somebody is arrested and they take to the court, and based on all the whatever evidences are given in front of the court, in front of the judge, based on the evidences, based on the different witnesses, then the court decides if that person is guilty or he is without guilt, he is found unguilty. So वो व्यक्ति दोषी है या निर्दोष है. So here the word uses nirdosh. Interestingly, what is the meaning of nirdosh here? That somebody who is free from the dualities of life, who is free from this rag, dvesh, free from likes and dislikes, who is free from the desire and expectation, that person is considered as nirdosh, flawless. So the nirdosh meaning is flawless. That person is flawless, and they are as good as Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman. So there is no more attachment to matter. It means there is no desire for anything and there is no expectation from somebody. Now we have so many desires and we also develop so many expectations from others. Like the child have expectations from the parents. Child think, oh, I have this desire, I want to get this toy, and he expect from the parents, my parents are going to give me this gift on my birthday or this toy on this particular occasion. Husband may have some expectation from the wife, wife may have some expectation from the husband, employer has some expectations from the employees, employee has some expectation from the employer. And so all these desires and expectations, they keep going on and on and on. And bondage in this world is caused by our own desires. And we think certain things in the world are enjoyable. I want to attain those things. And certain things in this world, they give me trouble, they give me misery. So I want to avoid those. So rag towards certain things and dvesh towards certain other things. So that rag and dvesh, likes and dislikes. I want this, I do not want this. So that causes flaws in us, right? This tendency of likes, dislikes, raga, dvesh, desire, expectation. So these lead to flaws in us. And nirdosham, as I said, nirdosham means when one is free from all these attachments or aversions, raga, dvesh, likes and dislikes. And even we see sometime in our devotee community also, we see we may be inclined towards one particular devotee or particular set of devotees, and then we may develop aversion towards some other people, some other devotees. So I like this set of people, this set of devotees, I do not like that set of devotees. So if, even because we have not come to that pure goodness state, we are still kind of struggling sadhakas. So we in devotee circle, in our devotional service also, we have likes and dislikes, we have desires and expectations, and so we are still not free from this bondage. And here Krishna is saying somebody who is free from all these things, who is nirdosham, they are as good as Brahman, and they are already situated in Brahman. So here Brahman may mean Brahmajyoti, and Brahman can mean Bhagwan also. So the minimum quality to reach Brahman is to get that equanimity. right? That is the minimum qualification. Even though somebody is desiring to reach that Brahma Jyoti, that liberation of merging into the impersonal Brahma Jyoti, even for that, the minimum qualification needed is equanimity. And love of Godhead is beyond it to reach the kingdom of God. So we need to develop this quality of becoming flawless, which is easier said than done. It's very difficult with years and years of practice being. Sometimes we think, oh, I have been practicing for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. But this 10, 15 years are nothing in comparison to years or multiple lifetimes of our devotional service. So people, they spend lifetimes, multiple lifetimes. Even then, it's difficult to attain to that state of equanimity. What to speak of having that desire or expectation, oh, I have been practicing for a few years now and I have become advanced devotee. So that kind of feeling, that kind of thinking does not fit into this scenario here where Krishna is saying, first we need to become that flawless, nirdosham. And text number 20, Krishna further describes these qualities. What are the qualities of somebody who is free from all these dualities? न प्रश्रेत प्रियं प्राप्य न द्विजेत प्राप्य च प्रियं स्थिर बुद्धिर असम्मूढ़ो ब्रह्मविद ब्रह्मणि स्थितः. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant, na prashet priyam prapya. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant. No dvijet prapya cha apriyam. Who is self-intelligent, sthira buddhir, asammudho, who is unbewildered, and who knows the science of God is already situated in transcendence. So again, what are the another qualities Krishna further explaining of equanimity is, if somebody gets something pleasant in this world, he does not start rejoicing. And if he attains something unpleasant, he does not start hating it. He does not start lamenting about it. He is intelligent, self-intelligent, sthira buddhir, his intelligence is fixed, and he is unbewildered. So neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant. So basically, such kind of person, equilibrium person or person in equanimity, is duality resistant, to say. Just like in the car, there is shock absorber. If the car is going on a bumpy road, the nice luxurious car, the shock absorbers are so nicely designed that person doesn't feel the shocks coming from the road, right? The shock absorbers are so nice that it just absorbs all the shocks coming from the road, does not pass on to the person sitting inside the car. So that is shock absorber. So same way, the person who is in equanimity, that person is duality resistant. He is not troubled by all the dualities of this material world. Just like in a game, either it's a cricket match or some other game, one person wins, one team wins, and they start to rejoice, right? They are celebration, oh, we are victorious. And the team who has lost, they are kind of sinking into the ground, they are lamenting. And same way in the political parties, one party, they gain victory and there's so much big celebrations, they are rejoicing. And the another party who is lost, they are under lamentation, and they're not able to show their face to the public. So everywhere in the world we see, there is either somebody is rejoicing, somebody is lamenting. But a person who is spiritually advanced, who is sthira buddhir, who is in equanimity, that person is not troubled by these dualities. So the test of our progress in spiritual life is how much we are resistant to these dualities, this happiness or distress. So we should constantly cultivate this quality in us, that let me not get too excited over gaining something, or let me not get under lamentation for losing something. And we see in our scriptures there are so many examples for this particular point, when the sadhakas, they are not troubled by any such situation, when they are put into all these different situations. The first example, if we start from first canto of Bhagavatam, right? In every canto of Bhagavatam, we can have one example. So from first canto of Bhagavatam, who is the example that who is not troubled when he is put into such situation? Okay.
Parikshit Maharaj.
Yes. So from first canto, Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj, he was cursed that in 7 days, a Takshaka, the flying snake, will come and bite you, and you are going to die after 7 days by biting of a Takshak bird. And when Parikshit Maharaj heard this, he did not retaliate, or he did not think, oh, I want to counter this curse. He could have put all his military in his protection, or he could have appointed all the great sages to find out a cure for this curse or to counter this curse. But Parikshit Maharaj did not do any sort of thing. He just accepted that this is the will of the Lord, whatever is going to happen to me. And in that state, he just renounced everything, and he decided to retire to forest and take shelter of the great sages and learn from them. What is the duty of somebody who is about to die? So that is the example of Parikshit Maharaj. Then we see another example of any other example you can quote. Anybody else? You can quote any other example from Bhagavatam.
Kunti Maharani.
Okay, Kunti Maharani. Yes, Kunti Maharani is another example, which is praying to the Lord, let the miseries come. More and more misery should come, so we can always remember you. We will have always your presence in our life. Another example we can quote is Indradyumna Maharaj, the Gajendra Moksha Leela. Gajendra, who was he in his previous life? He was King Indradyumna. And King Indradyumna, he was just sitting in the forest and absorbed in his meditation, and Agastya Rishi happened to come there. And Indradyumna Maharaj, he did not recognize the presence of Agastya Muni, and he did not receive him, honor him in that way. And Agastya Muni, he became very, what do you call, dissatisfied with the behavior of Indradyumna Maharaj, thinking that he has neglected to receive me. And he cursed Indradyumna Maharaj, you are acting like a jad, and I curse you to become a jad. I curse you to become an elephant in your next life. So Indradyumna Maharaj did not plea that, oh no, 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 this was not my mistake, and please forgive me. He accepted the curse of curse of Agastya Rishi, thinking it to be the plan of the Lord. And of course, it is the plan of the Lord to deliver Indradyumna Maharaj, rather than having him go through multiple lifetimes. When he appeared as Gajendra in the form of an elephant, in that one lifetime, Lord delivered him when Gajendra was attacked by a crocodile, Graha, and his foot was captured by this crocodile in the river. And at that time, Gajendra prayed to the Lord, and Lord immediately appeared, riding on his Garuda, cutting off the head of Gra. He pulled this elephant from his trunk and delivered him, took him back to his abode. So that is another example. Indradyumna Maharaj, he accepted without retaliating that why I have been cursed, I have no fault, I am nirdosh. And another example from Ramayana, example of Lord Ramachandra. Lord Ramachandra is told that he will be crowned next day. Next morning, he's going to be crowned as the king of Ayodhya. But the night before, the whole game changed. And we know how The mind of Kekai was polluted. And even though Kekai treated Lord Ram as his own son, she had more love towards Lord Ram than for Bharat. But still, because her mind was polluted, and she demanded those two boons from Dashrath Maharaj to give the kingdom to Bharat and send Ram to forest for 14 years, to exile Ram for 14 years. So when Lord Ram came to know that he is exiled to forest for 14 years, what was his situation? Did he start lamenting? Then, no, 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 this is injustice to me. I was going to be the king, and now you're telling me to go to the forest. Why I've been given that sort of punishment? What is my fault? Lord Ramachandra did not say any such thing. He was completely equipoised. And then when Bharat came to bring Lord Ram back, Bharat was ultimately told that you go back and you rule over for 14 years on my behalf. And after 14 years, I will come back and take back my kingdom. Now, Bharat is taking care of the kingdom for 14 years. Now, if somebody is ruling over the kingdom for 14 years, it is very natural to develop attachment to the kingdom, right? And when Lord Ramachandra came back, Bharat immediately gave the kingdom back to Lord Ramachandra, that this is your kingdom. I was just a caretaker. Just imagine in current world, what will be the situation? If somebody is appointed as a minister or for as a caretaker for some time, but they develop so much attachment. Now this position belongs to me. This the let's say somebody is made as a ruling CM in absence of the CM who maybe died or something. But now if somebody has taken over that position even for few weeks, few months, they become completely attached to that power. Now they want to continue on that position. And another example is, just consider a child, right? Sometimes the children, they exchange toys. A child is given a toy that, okay, you take this toy, you can play with it for a few days, and after that you can give my toy back to me. Now this child, he brings a toy at home, he's playing with that toy. After a few days, if the other child comes and asks, please return my toy, and the child is so attached to this toy, no, 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 I want to keep this toy, this is my toy now, right? So much attachment is there. And here on the other side, so in this world we see, from a child to a grown up person, everybody, they start considering that particular thing to be their own, if they have the rule over that for certain time. Here we see Bharat, even though he was taking care of the kingdom for 14 years in absence of Lord Ram, but when Lord Ramachandra came back, he immediately returned it to Lord Ram, saying, this is not my kingdom. I was just acting as your servant, taking care of this kingdom. So that is equanimity, not rejoicing for gaining something, not lamenting for losing something. So, like that, there are so many examples. And another example, another story I will tell you, how our mind should be always in such a state, or equipped with intelligence, with the right intelligence coming from the scripture. We should always think, ultimately behind this, it is a plan of the Lord. There is a plan of the Lord for my upliftment. Once there was a farmer, and he was a very poor farmer, and it so happens that once a horse comes from the forest somewhere into his farm. Okay, and so now this farmer, he has a horse. This horse just out of nowhere came into his farm and started living there. So this horse now belongs to this farmer. All the other farmers, all the other neighbors, they come to this farmer and tell him, oh, you are so lucky, this horse came to you from nowhere, so without any expense, without any cost, now you own this horse. So they were saying, oh, you are so lucky. And this farmer replied, lucky, unlucky, who knows? Good, bad, only God knows. And after a few days, this horse again ran back to the forest. Now again, all the villagers, all the people, neighbors, they came and told, "Oh, how unlucky! You have got this horse, and this horse again went back to the forest. How unlucky!" Again, this person, this farmer replied, "Lucky, unlucky, only God knows." And interestingly, after a few days, that horse came back and brought 20 another horses with him. So now he has these 21 horses. He is the owner of these 21 horses. Again, all the villagers, all the neighbors came and say, "Oh, how lucky you are. You got so many horses. You are such a rich person now." And again, this farmer replied, "Lucky, unlucky, only God knows." Now, few days later, his son, the farmer's only son, he was trying to ride on the horse, learning horse riding. And while trying to learn the horse riding, try to control the horse, he fell from the back of the horse. He fell on the ground and broke his arm and leg. So his arm and leg is broken with plaster. Again, all the villagers came, neighbors. "Oh, how unlucky. Earlier you had no horse, that was good. Now you had this horse, so your child was trying to climb on that horse, trying to ride the horse, and he fell down, broke his arm and leg. How unlucky, how unfortunate." And again the farmer replied, "Fortunate, unfortunate, only God knows." Now, few days later, there was an emergency in the country. The king came to know that the neighboring king is going to attack on his kingdom, and he started recruiting all the people in his army. And he made announcement that from every house, one young person, one young child need to be sent into the army to join in the army of the king. So all the soldiers, they're going village to village and recruiting one person from every household, one person from every family. This farmer had only one son, and his arm and leg was broken. So they did not take him with them. They did not recruit them. And forcibly they took one young child from everybody else's house. So all these villagers again came to the farmer. "Oh, even though your son's leg was broken, how lucky you are that your child is still with you." And this farmer again replied, "Lucky, unlucky, fortunate, unfortunate, only God knows." So that is the state of equanimity. No matter what kind of situations come in life, we may not realize what is the plan of the Lord behind those situations. Sometimes we are put into such situations, sometimes it's a situation where we have some immediate gain, or sometimes there is some immediate loss also. So in both situation, one should not overthink. One should not keep considering, "Oh, why I have been put into this situation." Ultimately, accepting it as the plan of the Lord. It is said that a very rejoicing situation, when somebody is in too much ecstasy, that also may end the person. And when somebody is in too much sorrow, that may also end the person. If somebody wins $1 million lottery, after winning the lottery also, the person may be so happy he may get heart attack and die. He could not tolerate so much happiness also. And if somebody is in a big misery, some big problem happen in their life, that also can cause such a shocking state of mind that person can die. Yeah, I know recently, in our kind of far distance relative, somebody, he got the news that his grandson, he had an accident, and in the accident he lost his leg. They had to cut off his leg. And by hearing this news, he was in such a shocking state, in such a miserable state, that he himself could not tolerate that, and he passed away in 2 days because of just this news of kind of miserable situation. So that is the state. Sometimes the misery can kill the person, but sometimes too much happiness can also kill the person, not able to tolerate both these extreme situations. So Krishna is saying somebody who is able to tolerate both situations, who does not rejoice when there is gain and he does not lament when there is some loss, that person has already attained the supreme. Now, moving on to text 21, Text 21 and 23, we'll discuss these three together. The overall theme, let me tell you what is the overall theme of these three verses. So what we read in these three verses is Krishna is saying, give up the external temporary flickering enjoyment, because that is the cause of misery. So number one, Krishna is saying, give up this external temporary flickering enjoyment, because that is the cause of misery. Number two, rather look for permanent happiness inside. Be situated in inner happiness. And then Krishna says, control the urges of the senses and mind, control the forces of desire and anger. So these are the theme of text number 21 to 23. So now let's read text number 21. 21, Krishna says, Bahya sparsho asaktatma vindhati atmani yat sukham sa brahma yoga yuktatma sukham asakyam ashnute sukham akshayam ashnute. So such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. So, Bahya Sparshashu Asaktatma. So, he is not attracted toward external pleasure of sense enjoyment, but he is always looking for internal happiness. He is always situated in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. So external happiness. What does external happiness mean? External happiness is because of the contact of senses with the sense object. So external contact may sometimes be pleasurable and sometimes unpleasurable, right? If you touch warm water in cold weather, you feel pleasure, you feel happy. But if you touch a cold water, very cold water, immediately you may have a little unpleasurable experience. So external contact may sometime be pleasurable, sometime unpleasurable. And we are always trying to get this happiness from this dead matter, from the dead body, based on these senses in contact with the sense object. So Krishna is saying, using the word asakta, asakta means who is attached, attached to this external happiness. And asakta means who is detached. So person who is asakta, detached from this external happiness, external sense pleasure, he delights in atma, in inner happiness. And such a person is connected with Brahman. He is always situated in Brahman. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, also Krishna says, Shrotram chakshu sparshanam cha rasnam ghranam eva cha adhishthaya manaschayam vishayan upasevate. So the living entity, he is taking one gross body and then another gross body. Then he obtains particular type of ear, tongue, nose, sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. So in a particular body, there are particular type of all these senses are there, and based on that, person try to enjoy in a particular way. For example, dog has particular type of ears and nose and mouth, and he try to enjoy based on that particular sense organs. Hog has particular type of mouth and nose and ears and all, and try to enjoy based on those sense organs. Human being has a different type of nose, mouth, ears, try to enjoy based on that. But ultimate point is every living entity is trying to enjoy based on these different senses. And the senses are so strong they are always demanding one object of enjoyment or another. The senses need to be controlled with the mind, which in turn need to be controlled by intelligence. But what happens is the senses, they become so powerful that they demand from the mind. The eyes are demanding from the mind. I want to watch this movie, make arrangement. And then the mind sends signal to the intelligence. See, the senses want to enjoy in this particular way. So you figure out how you can enjoy. And then intelligence is now in the service of the mind and the senses. But it should be other way. Intelligence should be used to control the mind and senses. So in an example of a household, we can say the senses and mind are like the children and wife. Just consider that analogy. So if husband is not strong enough and the wife demands, okay, this is festival time, take me for shopping, I want to buy a sari. Husband take the wife to shopping, and wife selects 5 6 different saris, which is more than $1,000 $2,000, and her husband says, no, no, our budget doesn't allow that, I have only $300 and this is our budget. And wife says, oh, don't worry, why you worry about cash in pocket, you have the credit card, let's use the credit card and finish this shopping, I want this, I want all these sarees. So if husband is not strong enough and he is overpowered, overtaken by the wife, now he surrenders to the wife, let's do whatever you say. And then the children have their own separate agenda, children are crying, the kids are crying, oh, I want this chocolate, I want this candy, I want this ice cream, I want this particular toy. And wife see the child crying and tells to the husband, see, the kids are crying, give me some money. And she takes the money and give to the children, okay, better go enjoy, take whatever you want. So in that way, the wife and child, they are controlling the husband. But if the husband is strong enough, he kind of convinces the wife, no, 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 we should be staying within our limits, within our budget, we should not overstretch ourselves. जितनी चद्दर उतने पैर पसारने चाहिए. So if the husband is strong enough, he will convince the wife, and wife know the child, they will be keep doing this tantrum all the time, and we don't have to fulfill all these tantrums. So wife entrance controls, convinces the children. So husband is like the intelligence, wife is like the mind, and children are like the senses in this analogy. So intelligence should listen to the guru, mind should listen to the intelligence, and senses should listen to the mind and intelligence. So this particular statement actually I picked up from Radhesham Prabhu's one lecture. He says, chaste wife, grateful children, and protective husband, that is the peaceful happy family. So the example given is how the senses should be controlled by the mind and mind should be controlled by the intelligence. But in our uncontrolled situation, when our intelligence is not strong enough, through the guidance of the scriptures, intelligence becomes slave to the mind and mind becomes slave to the senses. And we are in this cycle of endless pleasure then. And if we want to get that endless pleasure, we give up this um, if we are in this cycle of this external pleasure, then we are always just going through this miserable experiences. But if we want to get endless pleasure, the true happiness, then we need to give up this temporary external pleasure. For long term happiness, we need to give up the short term enjoyment. So one need to utilize one's discrimination. So what is the meaning of this discrimination? Here discrimination doesn't mean that this based on gender, race, sex, religion, etc. Discrimination here means to understand what is good for me, what is bad for me. कि मेरे लिए क्या अच्छा है, मेरे लिए क्या हितकारी है, मेरे लिए क्या हितकारी नहीं है, मेरे लिए क्या हानिकारक है. So understanding that difference. For example, if you give $100 to a child and show him one chocolate and tell him, better, what do you want? Now, child does not have that power of discrimination. He doesn't understand what is the value of $100 versus this one chocolate. And the child may be attracted to one chocolate. Oh, I will take this one chocolate. He doesn't know with $100 he can buy 100 chocolates. Because he does not have enough intelligence or ability to discriminate, he is looking for that instant pleasure. The same way, Hare Krishna. So, if we are looking for instant pleasure, then we are not able to think of our long term happiness. And these days, people are so much behind instant things, right? Instant pleasure. That's why even all the food items are instant now. Instant dokla, instant gulab jamun, instant vada, instant dosa, everything is instant because everybody is looking for instant pleasure. And you know what is the meaning of asura? Asura means asu plus ra. Asu means instant, ra means enjoyment. So asuras have the tendency for instant gratification, instant pleasure. They do not consider of if it is right or wrong, if it is moral or immoral. So suras, on the other hand, they have ability to restrain. Right? They are not thinking for immediate sense gratification or instant gratification, but they know what is good for me in the long term. So just now we see there are two slogans in the world. One slogan is just do it. And you see big check mark on the t-shirts also. Just do it. Don't worry what people think about you. If you like it, just do it. So that is a slogan for some people. Another slogan is look before you leap. Right? Before you act, you should think what is going to be the end result of this. Just like when we say look down before you put your next step. Right? Before putting your step down, you should see either there is a pothole or manhole there, so you are not putting yourself in a risk. So look before you leap. But people who just want instant gratification, they do not consider about what is right, what is wrong, what is ethical, what is unethical. They just want to act on that. So somebody who is looking for instant gratification, that is demoniac type of mentality. Rather, one should think what is beneficial for me in the long run. That's why we say either you can pay now, play later, or you can play now and pay later. What is the meaning? Pay now, play later means you pay the price now and you can reap the rewards later on. Or you can try to enjoy now and you have to pay the price later on. Just like a student, if the student during the exam time, if he restrain himself from all other external activities for playing games and all other gossiping and all the social medias and everything, and he focuses on his study, so he is paying the price now and he is going to reap the results later. He is going to get the bigger reward later, versus another one who is just avoiding to study now. He is just thinking of instant gratification. I want to watch movie, I want to play the games and go on the social media, Facebook and all that, and just waste the time now. I want to enjoy right now, and doesn't focus on his studies. What is going to happen? He is going to miss the exam or fail the exam or lose the grade, and he has to suffer for that, the consequences. So we need to think about what is good for me in the long run. So pay now and play later. So here, the first step is don't take pleasure in the external. And the second thing Krishna is saying is turn inward and concentrate on the Supreme, who is the ocean of happiness. So we can consider these verses actually as next part of our Saturday discussion. We're talking about the password for happiness. So here Krishna is continuing on that discussion. Yes, we need to connect with Krishna. We need to give up temporary external happiness, the short term happiness, and look for the long term pleasure. So first thing is don't take pleasure in external, and the second thing is turn inward and concentrate on the Supreme, who is the source of ultimate happiness. And when we turn inward, we connect with that source of happiness, and that's how we can become we can attain unlimited happiness. And in text number 22, Krishna further explained, ये ही संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुख योन्य एवते अधोअन्तवत कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः. An intelligent person does not take part in the source of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. So, very, very important verse. Krishna is further stressing on this point that intelligent person do not take part in the source of misery. What is Krishna referring to the source of misery? The pleasure of senses with the sense objects. Such pleasures have a beginning and an end. Adho antavat kaunteya. So the wise man does not delight in them. So again, the stress is the theme is cut down your temporary external flickering happiness and try to focus on the internal, because intelligent person understand there is always misery in these external pleasure, either in terms of trying to get pleasure in eatables, trying to get pleasure in tourism, trying to get pleasure with whatever call as a opposite gender, and whatever one can think of as external source of happiness. So Krishna is saying ultimately there is misery in everything. All that external happiness has beginning and end. So whatever one tries to enjoy, ultimately it leads to misery. Okay, and we have discussed this example going on vacation. Ultimately, it ends up with frustration. One thing, so let me just go back home, and it's too much now. I have been completely frustrated. So, intelligent person doesn't delight in them. Why? The first reason is because all these external pleasures are finite. There is a limit to them. So there is always a feeling of deficiency. One may feel happiness on becoming a millionaire, where somebody becomes lakpati. Now, after becoming lakpati millionaire, somebody may feel happy, but then he sees another crorepati. A millionaire sees a billionaire, and again he starts thinking, oh, if only I had $1 billion, then I will become more happy. Then he want to get more. So if we get in it, it may not be up to our standard. Even if we get what we want, we see somebody else having something more, again we want to attain that more. So always we will be able to find somebody who has more than us, and in that way somebody may always be looking towards more. So these worldly pleasures are finite. There is always feeling of deficiency, and then worldly pleasures are temporary. They come and they finish, and once they finish, they again leave us with feeling of misery. For example, somebody is alcoholic and he enjoys drinking alcohol at night, but in the next morning he is having headache, he is having this hangover, that splitting headache, and even at night also this person is getting drunk and comes back home, and then he is having a fight with the wife and children. He himself is miserable, the family members are also miserable. So these worldly pleasures, they are temporary. And then worldly pleasures, they continuously decrease. For example, somebody heard about a movie. Oh, this is an award-winning movie. I want to watch this movie. And he watches that award-winning movie first time. He becomes very happy. He likes it. He enjoys it. But now, if we have to watch that movie second time, some other friend comes and oh, he give me a company. I also want to watch the movie. Please come, give me company. And then he goes and give company, watch the movie second time. Now, this time he may not have that same level of happiness, same level of joy. Then if he has to watch it third time, fourth time, he doesn't feel that same happiness. So this worldly pleasure, they constantly decrease. Somebody is interested in eating rasgulla. He ate one rasgulla, two, three, four, five. After eating 10 rasgullas, the same rasgulla which was the source of happiness, now that same rasgulla becomes the source of misery. You try to feed him another one more rasgulla forcibly, he will be ready to spit out, ready to vomit. Right? So same object which was the source of happiness becomes now the source of misery. So the worldly pleasure continuously decrease. But on the other side, the spiritual happiness, the spiritual joy, they do not decrease, they constantly increase. The happiness of chanting the holy name, even though we may be chanting the same mantra every day, but the person doesn't feel that boredom, but feeling more and more joy in that, because the holy name is not the material sound vibration. It is Satchit Anand. It's ever fresh. It's divine bliss. So we can go on chanting the same name of God all day long, but may not feel that, what do you call, as a deficiency, or rather one feels ever fresh satisfaction. So the worldly pleasures, Krishna is saying, always lead to misery. They are temporary. There is a beginning and end. But on the other side, the spiritual happiness, it is ever increasing. It does not diminish with time, but it increases. And then text number 23. Here Krishna says, before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world. So what is the goal before one gives up the body? One need to be able to tolerate the urges of the senses and check the force of anger and desire. Then he is well situated and happy within this world also. So one meaning of the word kama is lust, as Krishna says, kamesha krodesha rajoguna samudbhava. So kama means lust, but in this word, kama is used in a general term to refer to desire, the desires of the body and mind for material happiness, material pleasures. When the mind does not attain the object of its desire, then it modifies its state to exhibit anger. Right? Text chapter 2 also, Krishna explained this whole cycle of fall down, where somebody can keep contemplating on the object of senses, one develop attachment to that, and then one try to attain that object, and if one is not able to attain, then it turns into anger, and then the whole fall down starts. So the desire and anger, if somebody is able to control those, then one is well situated. So here I said kama simply does not mean lust, but it refers to all sort of desires. Kama is generally something which is taking us away from our goal. All those desires need to be given up. So if a child has exam and the desire of playing, desire of watching movie, which is taking him away from his goal of passing this exam or topping that exam, So that desire is calm, is referred as calm. So any desire which takes us away from our real goal, that is referred here as calm. So the urges of desire and anger, they ultimately lead to anger. And the urges of desire and anger are so powerful, they are like the waves of the ocean, and one need to control these urges. Nectar of Instruction, first verse, which talks about controlling the urges of the body and mind. The jiva vegam udarupastha vegam. So one should control the urges of the body, mind, sense, the belly, genital. And if somebody is able to control all those urges, then one is qualified to make disciples all over the world, because that person is at very elevated state who has already attained the supreme. Now, even animals have their urges, but animals, they are forced to act based on their urges. Unlike human beings are bestowed with this power of discrimination to restrain themselves. Humans have given this intelligence, higher intelligence, to understand what is good for me, what is bad for me. So they are given with this ability to restrain themselves. So sometime if we are able to control these urges out of embarrassment, if you see, sometimes somebody may be able to control these urges out of embarrassment, that, oh, I don't want to do this in public. If other people see me doing this thing, what will they think about me? So sometimes somebody may restrain him to avoid this embarrassment. But ultimately, one need to come to that level where one is able to restrain himself based on the higher intelligence, that, oh, this is not good for me. It will spoil my progress towards the Supreme Lord. It will spoil my spiritual progress. For example, if somebody, let's say, sitting on the airport, and a nice, very beautiful girl comes and sit next to that person. The person is looking at the girl, and in his mind he is desiring, oh, I want to flirt with this girl. I want to sit next to that girl and maybe put my arm around that girl. But then he restrained himself thinking, oh, what will other people think about me? What if this girl even come and slap me? So to avoid the shame, he restrained himself. But on the other side, just by being morally correcting himself, no, I should not think like that. I need to control, I need to give up these sort of thoughts. And if somebody have a higher intelligence based on the guidance of the scriptures through Shastra Chakshu, and one is able to discriminate based on that knowledge. So not just out of fear of other people or out of embarrassment, but based on the right intelligence, right understanding. So in that way, one should be able to check himself, his wrong desires and urges, and one should try to discipline himself and be determined to act in a proper way, with determination, saying no to the temptations. An example is, Krishna gives another example in chapter 2, the example of the tortoise. As the tortoise withdraw his senses from the sense objects, as the tortoise draws his limbs within his shell, one should be able to withdraw his senses from the sense object. So that is the example, analogy Krishna gives in second chapter. So one should be able to control his urges by determination, saying no to the temptations, and one should try to discipline himself. And in summary, if we see text number 21 to 23, what is Krishna saying? The theme is give up external temporary happiness, which is the source of misery, control the urges of the senses and mind, control the forces of desire and anger. Look for permanent happiness, be situated in inner happiness. And for that, we need to remember these 3D formula. What is this 3D? Discrimination. One should be able to discriminate what is right and wrong based on higher intelligence, based on the guidance of scriptures. So discriminate. Then determination. Be determined to say no to the temptations. That yes, this is Maya, which is bringing different temptations in front of me. So I need to say no to these temptations and stay focused on my goal. And third D is discipline. Discipline ourselves that I need to act on these higher principles. I need to act on these activities of my chanting, my reading, hearing, doing the service. So disciplining ourselves. If we are not able to discipline ourselves, then somebody external is going to discipline us by force, right? Sometimes people are disciplined by external force. For example, the child is disciplined by the parents, or the child student is disciplined by the teacher. But ultimately we need to have that inner drive to discipline ourselves for progress in the spiritual life. So following these 3D: discrimination, determination, and discipline, to give up external temptations and focus on our spiritual activities. So that section, this is the section of Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, text 18 through 23, where Krishna is speaking about equal vision, how to develop that equal vision, and how to develop that equanimity of mind. Okay, so we'll stop here. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Okay, any questions, comments?
Prabhuji, could you say Bhishma is also an example of being equipoised when he is close to death?
Yes, yes, as I said, there are so many examples, right? Bhishma is equipoised even though he is laying on the bed of arrows. He is not suffering, or he is not feeling that misery of the arrows pierced in his body. At that state also, at that time also, he is speaking to Yudhishthira and all other assembled and giving them knowledge on various subject matters.
Mhm. And I mean, this thing of always thinking what you want to do and doing the next step, sometimes don't we become too guarded when we do that and not, miss out on a lot of things because we're like too guarded and too frightened?
You want to give any example, any particular scenario?
Like, I mean, most of the inventors, they had to take risks to come up with the invention, right? If they had the mindset of, no, I'm going to fail, these things are going to make me fail, then they're not going to take the risk to come up with the invention or whatever it is. So is there a balance there? I mean, because we don't want to be often too guarded and think, oh, if this happens, this will happen. Whereas we have no control of what will happen in the future.
So here also, see, one thing is taking calculated risk. So even in our spiritual practice also, what activities we do is, yes, there is guideline given, but within those guidelines, let's say in the engineering terms, I will say uh, there is upper bound, lower bound, right? We need to fall within that corridors. So there is a bound given. We need to be within that bound. We don't want to go outside of the bounds of our rules and regulation. But there is no fixed kind of a dictation, or you have to exactly do like this only. We can take our calculated risk. We can see what works for me best. So it's not that there is a cookie cutter approach for anything. And like, okay, you have to wake up 5 o'clock, then you take bath, then you do your arati, you do offer arati to the deities, you chanting, then you do this prayer, that prayer, then you read this or listen to this. So it's not as a cookie cutter approach for everybody. Certain things we have to see what works for me, what work fits in my schedule. But the ultimate principle is Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam, that I need to engage in the process of hearing, reading, chanting, engaging in some practical service. But again, we have to see what works for me and what does not work for me, but it fits into my proper schedule so I can balance my time for my family time, my professional time, and continue with my spiritual activities also. So, yes, there is a guarded boundary there to protect us for not going astray, not falling into the ditch, right? Like the horse is put those kind of shields on both sides. So the horse is not looking here and there and getting distracted by so many things on the side. So same way, all these rules and regulation which are given to us in our spiritual life, those are like the shields on the side. So we stay focused on our path. Right? We don't get distracted.
So, like, is there a distinction between religious and professional life? Because, okay, it applies to religious life, but when you look in terms of professional life, sometimes maybe you need to take some risk.
Yes. So see, that is again going back to the principle of karma yoga. In our professional life also, we have to follow the certain standards of ethical principle. We don't want to engage in certain unethical activities while engaging in our profession. And remembering Krishna always while doing our work, that it becomes at the state of karma yoga. So even in our spiritual life, or sorry, in our professional life, we have to remember the teachings of the scriptures and engage in a way that we do not end up committing any sinful activity. Right? That's how it becomes as a karma yoga. Karma yoga means connecting with Krishna through our work. So we need to become kind of a harmonize our professional life with our spiritual life. Krishna says, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yuddhacha. While engaging in your duty, Arjuna's duty was to engage in war as a Kshatriya at that time. Our duty is whatever our profession is, our family responsibility. So those are our responsibilities, our duties. So while doing your duties, be it family responsibilities or professional responsibilities, Krishna says, always remember me. In that way, bring harmony with your professional life and spiritual life.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
We should not think, okay, half an hour, my morning time, that is my spiritual life. After that, whatever I do, that's a separate thing, right? That's my professional life, my family life. I can do whatever I want, but I did half an hour, my rituals, my spiritual rituals. So I'm done with that. No, the purpose is we should be able to remember Krishna always, and in that way, be able to discriminate what is good for me, what is not good for me, and avoid doing any wrong activities which could cause bondage for us.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Anything else? Okay, if not, we can end it here. So whoever will like to attempt the assignments, the assignment was already posted for the whole chapter. So you can do that assignment, those questions, because when you attempt those questions, it kind of make our learning more stronger. Right? You really get to kind of introspect, did I really understand the concept or not? So try to attempt those assignment questions